This company does not build engines. It builds a tiny brass valve that meters fuel, and every commercial airline on Earth is legally chained to it for the next 30 years. Welcome to Woodward, the quietest monopoly in the sky and one of the cleanest toll booths in modern industry. Since 1982, CFM International has built more than 35,000 CFM56 engines. It is the best-selling commercial jet engine in aviation history. Over 23,000 of them are still flying today, hanging under the wings of more than 14,650 aircraft operated by 650 different airlines and air forces. And inside every single one of those engines sits a fuel metering unit built by a company most retail investors have never heard of. Here is how the lock-in actually works. When a commercial jet engine gets certified by the FAA and EASA, every component is named on the type certificate. Woodward's fuel metering unit, its hydromechanical fuel control, and its electromechanical actuators are baked into that certificate at the original design stage. An airline cannot swap them out. An MRO shop cannot substitute a cheaper third-party part. A competitor cannot reverse engineer their way in. To replace Woodward, you would have to recertify the entire engine, a years-long process no airline or MRO will ever undertake. So for the 25 to 30-year service life of every installed engine, Woodward owns the spare parts business by federal law. And the financial picture confirms what the moat implies. Woodward's revenue dipped during the pandemic, bottoming at $2.25 billion in fiscal 2021. Then the recovery kicked in hard. $2.38 billion in 2022, $2.92 billion in 2023, $3.32 billion in 2024, and a record $3.567 billion in fiscal 2025. That is 4 straight years of acceleration as the global fleet returned to the sky and shop visits started to stack up. The aerospace segment alone delivered $2.313 billion in fiscal 2025. That is 64.8% of total company revenue, up a clean 14% year over year. This is no longer a diversified industrial. This is an aerospace aftermarket compounder wearing a conglomerate disguise. But the revenue is only half the story. Watch what the margins are doing. Aerospace operating margin was 16.4% in fiscal 2023, 19% in 2024, 21.9% in 2025. That is 550 basis points of expansion in just 2 years. The mechanism is simple and beautiful. Aftermarket parts carry dramatically higher margins than the original equipment sale to GE or CFM. As the installed base ages into shop visits, the mix shifts. The mix shift mints money. Now zoom into the engine of the engine. Commercial services, which is Woodward's name for aftermarket repair and overhaul, grew approximately 29% in fiscal 2025 to an estimated $824 million. In the fourth quarter alone, it grew 40% year over year. This is the LEAP and the geared turbofan fleets finally hitting their first heavy shop visit cycle, sitting on top of a base of more than 35,000 CFM56 engines, still cycling through overhauls every few years. And this is the quiet monopoly thesis in a single business. The best companies on Earth are not the loudest, they are the boring, regulated, certified toll booths that nobody can route around. Woodward does not need to win a sale. They already won it 20 years ago when the engine was designed. Every takeoff, every landing, every shop visit between now and the year 2055 sends a small, predictable royalty back to Woodward's books. That is not a business. That is a tax on global air travel. And management told the street that LEAP and geared turbofan aftermarket revenue will surpass legacy engine aftermarket levels by late 2026 or early 2027. The compounding is just getting started. Management guided fiscal 2026 total revenue to $4.3 to $4.4 billion. The midpoint, $4.35 billion, would be a 22% jump. Aerospace operating margin is guided to 23 to 23.5%, another step up. And in the second quarter of fiscal 2026, Woodward crossed $1.09 billion in quarterly sales for the first time ever, up 23.4% year over year. Earnings tell the same compounding story. Diluted earnings per share were $3.78 in fiscal 2023, $6.01 in 2024, $7.19 in 2025. That is a near doubling in 2 years. Net earnings tracked from $232 million to $442 million over the same window. And the balance sheet got stronger at the same time. Total debt fell from $872 million in 2024 to $702 million in 2025, and the lock-in is widening. In April of 2026, Woodward signed a multi-year deal with AAR Corp, making AAR the preferred distributor of Woodward fuel filters, gaskets, and seals across the LEAP, GEX, and CF34 engine families. The company is sinking around $200 million into a new 300,000 square foot manufacturing facility in Spartanburg, South Carolina, coming online in 2027. And the board authorized a $1.8 billion share buyback over 3 years, with $172.9 million already returned to shareholders in fiscal 2025. So here is what to remember. Woodward sells parts you cannot see, into engines you cannot redesign, under certifications you cannot bypass, for fleets that fly for 3 decades. That is the definition of a quiet monopoly. Glamorous companies fight tooth and nail for the next sale. Woodward already won the next 30 years of sales the day each engine left the factory. If this is the kind of business you want to see more of, hit subscribe. We find the toll booths nobody else is talking about.